Episode 49. How are you, Steven?
I'm well. How are you, Brandon?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I see you all the time, but it's especially good to see you today.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
We love recording day.
You had a rough morning.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I did.
Why do you smell like gasoline?
Are you smelling that?
A little bit.
Okay.
What happened?
I do like that smell of gasoline. I think a lot of guys do.
Yeah.
There's something about it. But I ran out of gas in my truck.
Oh.
So then I tried to fill up my gas tank on my truck with the lawnmower gallon. Spilled it all over myself.
Oh, you were like plumb out. You were like,
Yep.
All
So
right.
real mature and real responsible this morning, and then rushed into work, and here we are recording.
That's awesome. Well, Levi, welcome to the Missoula
Hey.
Podcast.
How's it
Sorry
going?
about the gas smell.
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Like he said, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Something about it.
It's like that
Yeah.
new
And it's-
musk.
that new musk, that cologne. Like, I was at the gas pump the other day out on Mullen Road, and I'm in my Tahoe and I hear like water pouring, and I jump out and the gas pump didn't click off. And it is just gas just gushing out of my car. And so I grab it and I can't get it to turn off. And it's like that scene from Zoolander. Like I'm spraying gas across the parking lot and can't get it off, and have to go, hit the emergency stop and run inside. And it created all this extra. It was,
Jeez.
and the inside of my car smells like gas. So I don't know.
That might be the first time that I've ever heard
It was wild.
of something like that. Yeah.
Pretty wild. Levi, how are you, man?
I'm good. Good.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Describe to me that feeling running out of the tunnel in front of 27,000 fans. Like, what is that like? What is that rush like?
I don't know if there's a way to like describe it. I mean, I'm not sure if this is okay to put on the cast. I've never taken Coke, but I assume like the feeling is similar to that. Like it's a high and a rush. Like I've never felt, especially because like in Wild Grays, like it's built up like a bowl and the sound just is bouncing. It gets so loud in there. From leaving the locker room, we have this chant that we say when we're walking out, and then you get in the tunnel and Annie Up is playing and it's just blaring in the tunnel. All these guys have smelling salts. You're cracking and go, oh, the smelling salts are crazy. You like kind of wince. You go, yeah. And then running out, the fog is right there. The smoke, you can't see anything. You're hoping that you don't trip. And when you come out of the fog, just everybody's on their feet. They're waving their arms, throwing things. It's like nothing I've ever been a part of, and probably nothing I'll ever be able to do again.
Does it ever get old? Like, is every
No.
game the same hype?
It never gets old. I mean, nothing quite like the first time, I guess. After the first time, it's not the same. The first time that you do it is unbelievable. But then it's like you only lose like 2% from the first time. So it's not like it decreases by half. It's still super intense.
It's awesome.
When you guys go on the road, obviously there's no stadium and fan base like Wild Grays. Are you kind of embarrassed for the opposing team, or like what is it like going on the road in the Big Sky Conference?
The Big Sky is not as bad. I mean, there's places that you go that are pretty cool, like going down to Ogden and playing at Weber's cool. Their backdrop, I mean, the stadium's not huge, but the backdrop is cool. The fans are into it. I'll give the fans in Bozeman a little bit of credit. It gets loud there for when we go.
That's cute.
But nothing quite like it at Wild Grays. There's some schools like the Domes in Pocatello, kind of pathetic. The Vandals, they're okay. It gets loud in there. But no, the fan base at Wild Grays, 27,000 fans, 23,000 when you're playing a no-name school. They don't care about. They still pack it. I don't know. We're lucky to have the stadium facilities and fans that we do.
What's the worst stadium to play in?
That I've been to, or in the Big Sky?
In the Big Sky.
The only one I haven't been to is Cal Poly, so I can't. I've heard that's pretty cool though, as far as like the scenery goes and a place to be. Is San Luis
I've seen like
cool.
Vandal Stadium is just weird. Like
Yeah.
goalposts like sticking out from the wall.
Yeah,
And
I actually don't mind the Kibbe Dome though, but
Yeah.
Pocatello at Idaho State's probably my least favorite place to play.
Is there any place you don't want to go? Like, because you're nervous about it, or?
The only place where I have to like hype myself up is Flagstaff, just because they're at elevation. They're super high. I mean, you don't think about it, but this last year it wasn't as bad. But I mean, in years past, when I go there, I get gassed way quicker than when we're here or anywhere else, just because the elevation.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
It
comment
is.
on it a lot, but you can feel it.
Yeah. Oh, you can feel it in warm ups. I'm like, man, did I cinch my pads a little tight? I was like, this jersey shrunk. I'm going crazy, trying to breathe. That's probably, there's no place that I like don't want to go though.
Coolest place you played outside of Big Sky?
Probably Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Seattle. That was a cool place. Like you're on the water or pretty close. I mean, they didn't really pack it because, they were playing an FCS team, but it was still a cool experience. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go on the trip to Oregon when they played the Ducks, but I heard that was sweet at Autzen. So I can't speak to that, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's go back
Yeah.
to the beginning. You're originally from Missoula, correct?
Born and raised.
Where'd you go to middle school, elementary school?
I was homeschooled. My siblings and I, there's 5 of us, and we were homeschooled. Well, I was homeschooled kindergarten and first grade.
Okay.
And for a little while there, we were Seventh-day Adventists because my mom was like super into, I don't know, she was super into weird things. Like we were vegan for a point of time as kids. She just wanted to do things that stood out, I guess. But we were Seventh-day Adventists. So 2nd and 3rd grade, we went to a Seventh-day Adventist school that's right down the block from where I live now.
Yeah.
And then in 4th grade, I transferred to Target Range, became a public school kid, and went there through high school and went to Big Sky and then UM.
Was that a tough transition going into the public school, and did it make sense right away? Had you been involved in sports before then, I guess is maybe another question.
I wouldn't say it was tough. It was eye-opening. I grew up like kind of a sheltered kid. We grew up like way out on Big Flat, if you guys know where that is. So we were kind of isolated a little bit, and we were homeschooled, so we didn't have like a lot of friends, but besides the neighborhood kids who were Christian kids too. So we grew up pretty sheltered. And public school, we didn't play sports at all. So played a little bit at recess, but footballs and baseball and basketball is not really a big thing at Seventh-day Adventist school. So public school was kind of shocking. Like I learned swear words. I learned like social dynamics between kids, which I'd never been exposed to. And sports, yeah. Played football at recess all the time. Was never much of a basketball guy. But yeah, it was, I wouldn't say it was tough. It was awesome in a lot of ways. It was a good thing for my siblings and I think.
And what did your parents do growing up that allowed your mom to homeschool for a little bit and then send you off to the Adventist school? But yeah, what did your folks do for work?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she bartended before we were born, and then when we got older, she bartended a little bit. But she led some like workout groups like the YMCA or the Women's Club. But my dad worked on telephone lines, so he worked for Quest, who turned into CenturyLink, who I think still is CenturyLink, but he did that for years and years. Yeah, so I mean that provided enough to where she could stay home and be a stay-at-home mom and raise the 5 kids.
What was the dynamics like within your family? Was it a competitive family? Did you guys get along? Did you tolerate each other?
We got along. I mean, you have that many kids, you're all kind of friends when you're young. So I have a sister that's 26. I'm 24. Little brother's 23. Another brother's 21. And then our sister, the youngest, is 17. So the oldest 4 of us are super close in age. So my brothers and I and my sister were super close growing up. And Elijah, who's the middle child, him and I have always like just clashed. He just knows how to like get me going in such a bad way. Like can just say one word or give me a wrong look and I want to rip his head off. But we're buddies now, but we've had our moments as most brothers do. Coulter, who's the 21-year-old, him and I are pretty close just because we were always into similar things. So we would hang out. And now our friend groups, they commingle. So, we hang out a lot. But I wouldn't say that we were like super competitive. Also, just because we didn't really, I don't know, we didn't like grow up in sports or anything for the first few years of our lives. So we were mainly just all friends. We'd go out and climb trees or jump on the trampoline or try to build swords or something, or pretend sticks were guns and play war.
How did you get into sports? Like when did that start for you? A passion for
my fourth grade year when I went to target range. It's like all we did at recess was like play football, and that was like the big thing. Like these 9-year-old kids love like, who is your favorite team? And I got these questions, and I was like, I've never watched. I don't even know what the NFL is. So I like went home and turned on a game, and the Broncos were playing, and I was like, I kind of like their colors and the logo. I was like, yeah, I'll be a Broncos fan. And so I dove in head first. I got into it hard. And then that year, tackle football, you had to be in 5th grade in Missoula when Little Grizz, I think with NYF now, you can be in 2nd grade with pads. So I didn't play flag, waited until 5th grade to play tackle football. But we played at recess every day. And 4th grade, I played baseball. And so that was like the first organized sport that I ever played. And from 9 years on, it's been sports.
So in 5th grade playing MYF, did you just thrash kids around?
No.
Like,
so
was it?
So it was Little Grizzly at the time. Okay. And I wish that MYF was a thing because Little Grizzly had a weight limit. So at recess, I was always the quarterback. And when they weighed me in, I think in 5th grade, I think the cutoff was like 108 pounds and I was like 130 pounds. And they were like, yeah, we're going to put you at left tackle. And I was like, you're kidding me. This sucks. And so, well, actually, I didn't know. I actually loved it because we just run the ball. And I mean, I didn't know much about blocking in 5th grade. It's not like it's technical work. They go, there's a guy in front of you. You just put your hands on him and try to drive him back. So I was left tackle and linebacker. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. I mean, I was kind of like a kid that had lived in a cave for a bunch of years and then got thrown into the real world because I didn't know the rules, didn't know, like all these kids have been playing flag and whatnot since they were in kindergarten. So I was trying to learn the game while playing, and it was just so much fun. And then finally, my 8th grade year, I joined MYF because that's when they came together as a league. And so I got to be the quarterback, and yeah, I mean, I was a lot bigger than most of the other kids I was playing. So
was that the dream? Like, did you want to be a quarterback?
Yeah. So like when I got into football, I liked the Broncos and Florida because Tebow was super big then. And I was like, oh, this dude's a lefty. He's a bigger guy. He's a Christian. I was like, this is somebody I can look to emulate. And so from the time I was able to be the quarterback, I was like, I want to play like him.
You must have lost your mind then when he goes to the Broncos.
Oh, I was so pumped. My mom, I had like these T-bowing shirts. I had like 3 of them. Yeah, I was
That's
on.
awesome.
I had a jersey. Quick run for Timmy, but he won a playoff game.
He did.
Big game against the Steelers.
Huge.
I'll never forget that game.
Big game.
Yeah, one of my best friends was a Pittsburgh fan. He goes, it's because we had 10 guys on the field. They were subbing in a safety. And I was like, well. He calls me like to this day, talks to me about it. I'm like, nah, I really don't care that much anymore. It's fun to BS about.
At what point in your life, Levi, did you know that you wanted to go next level? Like you had something with football, like this could take you places?
Probably my 8th grade year.
Okay.
I mean, my mom was like a super big encourager. Like she would tell me how good I was and whatnot. It was almost annoying. But 8th grade, like we were on an undefeated team and I was a quarterback, and I pulled my hamstring and had to sit out a game, and we lost to the worst team in the league. And I'm not saying it was because of me, but like 8th grade me was like, that's because I was sitting out. I was like, that's because I was sitting out. We lost. And so I don't know. I mean, you're playing with a ball that's about the size of this mug. And so I could huck that thing. And I was like, man, I could be a quarterback in the NFL. And high school, that the reality hit, and I was like, I'm not going to be a quarterback in college, but I think that I can play. And high school, I mean, again, I was like this freshman year. I came into camp at 185 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's a big freshman.
yeah. So I was like one of the bigger kids, and was a quarterback because I was athletic enough, could move, could throw. And I think, honestly, because Big Sky's team that year was pretty good. They went 8-2, but I think that if I was like more mentally mature than I was, I probably could have started on varsity as a freshman, but I wasn't mentally there, and I had to learn a lot of things. But physically, I think I was capable. And sophomore year, I took over this starting job and had a good career in high school. It was fun, and I knew I could play in college.
So 3 years quarterback at Big Sky. So,
did you play defense during that time either?
Not really my freshman year. I didn't. I played defense in 4th and 5th grade, and that was about it until my senior year, where I'd play a couple series at safety, and that was just kind of to put me out there. So I didn't play defense until I got switched in college from the time I was 10.
What is it that makes a kid a great high school quarterback?
The majority that I've seen in Montana, at least, just good athletes, big kids. You're a leader. I don't really think I threw better than people say, but I didn't have to throw the ball a ton. I mean, it was either like a 3-step drop and I was throwing a fade route, or I would take off. So, I mean, if you can move, you can break some tackles, you can win a lot of games in Montana, I think.
So you finish up high school career. What colleges did you have on the radar when you were making that decision to go play at the next level?
The only ones I was seriously considering was Tech and MSU.
Really?
Because Tech was recruiting me hard. You're a good player in AA, and Tech's a good school, so I was considering going there. But I just thought that I could play at D1, and Bozeman said that I could walk on, so I got a preferred walk on from there, and that's what the Grizz said too. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, I feel like I was good enough to get a scholarship from either one of these schools, and I was like, but especially the Grizz, like, we're in the same town. Like I grew up here. I kind of thought you would invest more in like a hometown kid. And so I was like, screw them. I'm going to go to Bozeman. And then Stitt got fired. Coach Hauk came in, and I have some good family friends that are friends with him. And they dropped my name a couple times, I think. And he called me within the first week that he was back, and I went to his office and met, and he said that they'd give me a partial scholarship, and I was like, yeah, that's all I wanted, just a little bit of validation, I guess. But yeah, it was like a childhood dream. So I was like, I'm jumping on that as soon as I had the chance.
And did you go in as a quarterback?
No.
What was that?
Yeah. Coach Hauk's a smart guy. He knew he knew I wasn't going to be a
quarterback. So what he see
quarterback.
from high school game film to determine position role on the team, like how?
He just said that I played hard, that I was bigger, and so they recruited me as a fullback, which I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Like, you can see what happens there. But I didn't really know much about that. I was better at running if it was more of like a free reign thing, not like you have to follow this gap and whatnot, which can't really do that as much in college because everybody's just as good or better of an athlete than you are. And so freshman year fall camp actually was getting reps with the ones, because we only had a couple of packages where a fullback was in there, but when there was, then I'd go in. And I just wasn't mentally ready to go against like 21, 22, 23-year-old guys. But physically, I was like the same size that I am now. I was like a little smaller. I was like 225, 28 pounds my freshman year. And so I think the coaches thought I was ready for it. And I just mentally wasn't able to handle what was being thrown at me. And
What do you mean by that? Like the playbook or?
no, well, kind of. I mean, I overthought the playbook a bunch, so I'd screw some things up because I wanted to be as perfect as I could. But just like I physically, I could have handled it if I had like mentally had told myself that I was ready for it, but I wasn't. So like I'd shy away from contact. I was afraid to hit guys because I was like, these guys are way bigger than I am, when in reality we were close to the same size. So I think the coaches were a little disappointed, to use a word that's nicer than the one I would have, when I wasn't performing how they thought I could. And so I got switched around from fullback we took the fullback out of the offense I got moved to running back. And again, I really just didn't play with great pad level at running back. So I was always like really high. Didn't really know how to carry the ball if you weren't like one hand trying to shake around. Didn't do well at running back. Got moved to tight end, back to running back to tight end. Mm-hmm. And then eventually after my second spring, or before my second spring ball, they moved me to linebacker. And, you know, it was a great switch. Yeah. I'm not sure if you want me to go into depth on that now or talk about it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Freshman year, I was dead set on quitting. Like after the first fall was fine, but I got to travel to all the away games and suit up for all the home games, which sounds cool, but it sucked because like all my buddies that were in my class, when we would leave town, like they were at the dorms, they were hanging out with one another, and I was gone, and I just felt like I was missing out on like building relationships with my buddies that I wanted to spend my time with. And home games, they'd be up in the stands being, you know, we were underage, so they weren't drunk, but they were having a good time. And I was on the sideline just like wishing that I was with them, just watching the game. And because our game days are pretty intense as far as like you're there for business. It's a business trip. You're not there to mess around or have fun. Like you're there to show up, get warmed up, win a game, leave. And I don't know, I just didn't like that. I was nervous the whole time, just like not wanting to go in. I didn't want my name to be called, even though it wouldn't. I was always like, man, if they call me to go in, like I don't want to be out there. And so I was dead set on quitting during spring ball. I talked to my parents about it. I talked to some guys on the team. Who were like, yeah, dude, like if you quit, then I'll quit. And I was like, all right, well, so we had this like deal, and none of us had the cojones to do it. But after that second fall, I was still kind of down in the dumps. And I was more so than anything, I was just like being mentally soft. I thought that the coaches were out to get me. I was bummed out that I went from the man in high school to a nobody. And so I just let my perception of my situation get the better of me. And then when I got moved to linebacker after my second fall there, I was like, man, they're sending me here to die. Because there was a quarterback that got moved to linebacker like right before me, and the previous spring, he got moved and he quit within like a week because the linebacker coach, Kent Bear, amazing guy now. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite people that I've ever met. But at the time I was like, this guy's a dick. Like that was his reputation. He was just this grumpy old man. And so I was like, man, they're really sending me here because like they want me to quit. I was like, I had felt like they'd been trying to get me to quit for like a year. But again, that was just my perception. I was like, so this is their final move. This is their last card. And I was like, I'm probably going to. But the guys in the linebacker room, so amazing for me. That move was, it's hard to explain how beneficial that was, just in terms of like my life as a person and outside of football. Like those guys were amazing. Like a lot of my best friends, the 7-8 dudes that I played with for 3 years, like my best friends, they're just awesome guys. They brought me in, they showed me the ropes, held me along the way. And I did pretty well at linebacker my first couple weeks in spring and fall, just because, you know, I didn't really know anything. And I just like, they told me, yeah, just play hard and hit, and you'll learn the playbook. So that's what I did. And it worked out. And then, I finished my career up as a linebacker, and really it was just amazing.
Going into your senior year, you were selected and given the number 37 jersey.
Yeah.
I imagine it's huge honor. What was that like? What was that experience for you?
I remember when I got interviewed by the news and wherever else. I was like, oh, this was like a childhood dream to wear the number. In reality, that was BS. Like I said, I grew up a little sheltered, didn't go to a lot of Grizz games. This is like the first time that I've said this in public. So I
exclusive on the Missoula Podcast.
Yeah. So I didn't grow up going to Grizz games until probably 8th grade. And then I started to go to them pretty much every time that there was a home game I would go. But I still didn't really know what the number meant, or like, I knew Jordan Tripp had worn it. That was like the big name that I remembered. Ryan Featherston was my wrestling coach. I remember that he wore it. And Wagonman. Those were like the 3 guys that I remember, but I still like didn't know it was like, it was like the legacy. So I really didn't care much about the number in terms of like, oh, like that's my goal to wear it. Or even know what it meant until I came to the university and Jesse Sims was wearing it, and still didn't know what it meant. But watching Jesse work day in and day out, and the kind of dude that he was, how he played, it became evident to me. I was like, oh, that's why he's wearing this number that everybody says is a legacy, is different than the rest. I was like, because he works his ass off, and he's just a good dude outside of football. He's one of the best guys that I've ever met. And then when he passed it to Jace is when I started to like get a sense of like, okay, this goes to a dude with like these certain characteristics, because Jace is one of my best friends, and he was such a hard worker, great football player. He'll tell you, so this isn't mad, but this won't make him mad. Not much of an, like, not gifted as like an athlete in terms of like he's the strongest or the fastest guy, but just so smart when it came to football, and worked his tail off every day to make sure that he was the best player that he could be. And so probably when Jace wore it, I was like, man, that'd be pretty sweet to wear. But it was never like a motivator for me, like, I'm going to work hard so I can wear the number. I just tried to emulate guys who I looked up to in the locker room. I tried to emulate how they lived, how they worked. And I worked hard because I didn't want to like let my teammates down. Like, you don't want to be the guy that drops the ball. So I guess it paid off in the sense that Marcus thought that I emulated what 37 meant, that I lived that.
On this side, we see the media and Instagram and, hey, here's a new number 37. It's Levi.
Yeah.
What was it like on the back end? Does Marcus just send you a text message? Do you get an email? Does Bobby call into the office? Like, what?
No.
What's the process?
Marcus called me to the Mo Club because I officiated his wedding. And so he told me, he goes, yeah, we have to talk about like the wedding because it's coming up. I just want to pick your brain and see where you're at. And I think he told me in April and his wedding was in July. And I had known for like 7 months that I was doing it, hadn't prepared at all. And he's like, yeah, I just want to see your progress. And I was like, okay, cool. And so we met at the Mo Club and I was like, shit.
Classic.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have anything. And we were talking for a couple minutes, just catching up. We talked about spring ball and everything. And I go, honestly, Mark, to tell you the truth, like, I'm going to put some work into the officiation, but I haven't done anything yet. And he goes, dude, that's not why we're meeting. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I was like, why did you tell me that that's why we were meeting for then? I was kind of mad. I was like, he's just wasting my time. And then he goes, yeah, I want to talk to you about the number. And I was like, I kind of like looked around. I was like, what's going on? And I hate those situations. Like, I don't think it's intimate, but it's like emotional a little bit. And I get like really uncomfortable. I started to like get really warm and sweaty. And I was like, oh, this is weird. He goes, yeah, I like want you to wear it. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And Marcus goes, yeah, like I'm not going to judge you if you cry. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I was like, no, I was like, I'm not going to cry. So the reason that we met at the Mo Club is because Jace had told him at the Mo Club. So he wanted to tell me. And then I told Trevin at the Mo Club. Yeah. So kind of hoping that's awesome. That becomes a part of it. It just kind of seems right.
That was my next question for you. Just in the last few weeks, it was announced Trevin, number 37. What was that conversation like? Obviously, you took him to the Mo Club.
Yeah, it was kind of this. It was similar. He's not officiating my wedding.
You didn't lie to him and set him up.
No, I lied. Well, I didn't lie to him, but Marcus did. So like, I was like, because Trevor and I are close, but like, I think that he'd be suspicious if I was like, hey, you just want to meet at the Mo Club? So Marcus, who's running the NIL collective now, texted Trevor and was like, hey man, want to talk to you about NIL and some people that want to work with you. You want to meet at the Mo Club? And so I was waiting there and Trevin showed up and he goes, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm meeting with Marcus. What are you doing here? He goes, I'm meeting with Marcus. And I go, oh, that's weird. That's really weird. And so we sat down for a while and caught up, and like Marcus and I did, we talked about spring ball and finals and whatnot. And after like a half hour, I was like, man, I don't think the Marcus is showing. And he goes, why? Like we have to talk about this. And I go, he's not showing. And Trevin just kind of looked at me and I go, I wanted to get you here because I want you to wear the number. And he goes, he kind of acted like the same way that I did, kind of looked uncomfortable. He goes, oh man. He goes, thanks. And then he came around the table and hugged me. And
did he cry?
No.
Oh, okay.
Didn't cry.
Okay.
Didn't cry.
You can't cry if you're going to wear that number, right? Is that kind of a prerequisite as well?
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus that did cry, Marcus. But no. But I don't know. I'm just.
So was he excited or was he let down that he wasn't landing some big NIL deal that day?
It's probably a 50-50. Yeah. He goes, oh, I get to wear the number, but like, I kind of need to pay my rent.
There's no bag here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's jump into our burning questions, and I want to get back to some more Grizz football. What's your first memory of Missoula?
I've lived here my whole life. Let me think. First memory of Missoula, climbing or trying to climb and falling off a tree on Augustus Street that's right off of 3rd. Yeah, that's the house that I was born in.
I think that's really specific. Like the first memory.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite coffee shop here in Missoula? Your go-to?
I've never really been much of I wasn't a coffee guy through college. Last couple years, I got into it. Canby, I think, makes a really good cup. Actually, the other day, I had an Americano from the Good Foods store. I mean, I doctored it up a little bit, but it was fantastic. So coffee shop, probably Canby. Yeah. Plus they have some great food. So
how about favorite restaurant?
Depends what the occasion is. Like, is it like a nice dinner where, you're going out on like a date or going out with the boys for lunch or something?
Well, we know you'd say Mo Club for that.
Yeah,
so
probably the Tamarack.
Let's go.
Okay.
Tamarack. Yeah. I love the Tamarack. We've had a bunch of, I remember in COVID, my buddies and I would go there like once a week to kick off the weekend, go there for dinner and get a pitcher or something. And for like a whole year we did that. So the Tamarack. Yeah.
Perfect. What zip code do you live in?
59804. Orchard Homes.
Represent. You're an Orchard Homes guy.
I
am. Is there, what to you is the weirdest thing about Missoula?
It's a long list. The weirdest. I'm not sure it's weird. I guess it's kind of cool, but just like the diverse, like you got like, I'm not gonna super like granola people, and then you'll see like not hick, but like these cowboy, like these rancher dudes, anywhere from like business people to whoever. There's people that surf at Brennan's Wave, that live in Chacos and board shorts, and people that wear a suit and tie every day, to people that wear their cowboy boots and are stepping in cow.
So diverse.
Yeah.
So diverse here.
I mean, there's a lot of weird things though.
Yeah.
But I guess the weirdness is just the different types of people that you see.
Yeah.
What do you love most about Missoula?
Probably that too. Yeah. Everybody coexists. There's not a lot of tension here, I think, at least that I see. Everybody just loves this place. And I love that Missoula is like everything that I love to do is right, like Snowball's right there. You can go and hike at 1,000 different places that are within a half an hour drive. The river is going through town, just Flathead's an hour drive away. Yeah, I love that everything you want to do is it's centralized. You can do anything from Missoula.
Mm-hmm. Who is a mentor or a book? I'll give you two options.
Okay.
That has made a profound impact on your life, or made the most profound impact on your life.
Ooh, the most? Yikes. I don't know. I feel like I've had a bunch of people that have helped me get to where I am. A bunch of people that knowingly or unknowingly have impacted my life to make me change for the better and get here. I mean, there's so many people come to mind, like my dad, Matt Johnson, who was my high school coach, Josh Jones, who was my freshman coach, just great guys that for all different reasons that I look up to them. I've tried to pick just different parts of their lives and put it into mine to act as they do. And I don't know, there's so many others, just like Coach Bear, guys that I've played with. It's hard to think of like one person. Yeah.
Is there a particular book that you've read that has made a huge impact on your life?
The Bible? I don't know. No. That is true, but as far as like, I don't know. I think I try to read a decent amount of books, and most of them are like not self-help, but development books that help you with your mindset. Chop wood, carry water was a good one. Speaking of which, I'm starting to drip a little bit. It's getting hot.
It's a little warm in here.
Tim Keller books. He's a preacher. I've read a lot of his books, and I love him and what he writes about. Just a smart dude. Probably not one book though that stands out among the rest, besides the good book, of course.
Where do you want to go with this? Back into Grizz football? Like,
I think so.
And then I want to hear more of what Levi's doing now. Just you graduated December, is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations. What'd you graduate? What was your degree?
Undergrad was management information systems, and I got my master's of business administration.
Wow.
An athlete and a scholar.
Yeah. What can I say?
As you look back over your career at U of M, obviously, Brandon, myself included, had such a joy watching you play and the passion that you played it and how hard you played. But
we'd even critique you on Monday mornings. Like we were those guys.
Yeah,
like,
we're those guys.
What's the Grizz defense doing right now?
Luckily, the linebacker crew we were not so worried about. What legacy do you think you left for U of M in the Grizz?
Like for the fans or like within the team, within like the locker room?
Both.
Okay. For the fans, I think not just myself, but like my senior class specifically, I think we kind of just rallied around each other. There was no egos in our class, and everybody was like a team player. They wanted their brother to succeed more than they did. And so I think that led to us having a very successful year to where the fans could enjoy what we were doing, because we didn't play for ourselves. We played for one another, and that led us to win a lot of games. And as far as the locker room goes, I just hope that I was remembered as a guy that helped other people along. Didn't tried to be a mentor, lead by example. I was never really a vocal guy in terms of my leadership. I just tried to do things the right way, and hope that guys would notice that and that it stuck with them a little bit.
Levi, I got two questions for you, two football related questions, and we can get into this next season of life for you. Let's talk about Frisco.
Yeah.
national championship, obviously some fireworks, overtime games, just heroics to get there. What was that experience like? Obviously didn't end the way we all hoped, but
what are you gonna do?
yeah, what was Frisco like? A national championship?
Frisco itself was sweet. I'd never been to Texas besides one night in Dallas when I got laid over in a connecting flight, but it was awesome. I mean, from the hotel we were at, the food that we were given, Riley Wilson, who's a linebacker, he's from Prosper, which is 10 minutes away from Frisco. So we got to go to his house, and his family has like a little ranch that we had a dinner at. Got to practice down there for 3 or 4 days. It was awesome. Unfortunately, the trip wasn't as good as it could have been. I got super sick the first night that we were there and lasted like ultimately like 3 months, but on and off. I had flu-like symptoms in Frisco for like 5 days up until the Monday after the game. So that part sucked, but I don't know. The journey itself was so much fun. You get to, because like I was saying, our away trips, as far as football is concerned, is you fly in the night before the game, you have meetings, dinner, then you go to bed, wake up, breakfast, meetings, walk through, go to the game, play, leave. So it's just, Coach Huck says that it's a business trip. We're not there to have fun. We're there to win a game. And Frisco was different because we were down there for 4 days. So we got to kind of enjoy our time. We got to hang out with one another, got to goof around a little bit and just enjoy the week leading up to the game, which, I mean, was so much fun.
It's awesome. Looking back, my second question, looking back at your career, was there a moment, a climax of this is the greatest moment of my college football career? A certain play, an accolade, a game, a tackle?
I'd say probably just the Brawl of the Wild this last year was so much fun. It felt like because our senior class was like, we cannot end our careers with a loss to Bozeman. And so, I mean, we worked for 6 years, but you work for that amount of time to win games. And especially, you never want to lose that game. Like, you're always working to win that game above anything else. And so to go out on top your senior year, that was like a culmination of all the hard work that myself and my seniors had put in. And so that was probably like the most special game that I've played in.
What's next for Levi?
Still trying to figure that out. I just started a job at Glidewell Insurance, so I'll be selling life, health, and group benefit insurance. Really just love the people there, the culture, the company. It seems like a great place. And so I'm excited about that. And outside of work, I'm training for the half marathon. Yeah, decided to get into running. Just something to work towards.
Yeah, how's that going?
Oh, I told myself like months ago, I was like, all right, I'm doing the half this year. Or I told myself, maybe you'll do the full. Ran for like 2 days in a row in February. Took 2.5 months off.
So this is kind of like Marcus's wedding again. You're just procrastinating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Rode off. I was like, you know what? Half marathon isn't in my 2024. That's just not in the cards. And then a couple days ago, I was like, screw it. I got 1 month. Let's get this dialed. I got a plan from a runner friend of mine that's helping me out. And so we're going to tackle it. It's nice to like have a goal in mind though.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So going into the insurance space, helping people, you said life insurance, health insurance, group health insurance. Is that something you saw yourself years ago going into? Did you want to be in sales? Did you want to sell insurance? Or
I wanted to be in sales because it's competitive.
Yeah.
If I was going to go the business route, then sales is what it would be. Insurance, in a word, no. Did not think I'd ever be selling insurance because I feel like there's a stigma around it that it's boring. But I have been here and I love the company and the people. So I was like, all right, I can get into insurance if I like the place that I'm working and the people that I'm doing it with. And now that I'm actually like learning what insurance is actually about, I'm actually enjoying it. Yeah.
Was it hard to close the door on football?
No.
No.
Yeah. I felt like my time had ran its course. I was ready to be done. I feel like there was nothing that I thought was left on the table for me to accomplish. So I was ready.
Well, thanks for emptying the tank.
Yeah.
And leaving the jersey better than you found it.
Uh-huh.
Enjoyed watching you play. Excited for your next season of life. Thanks for joining us today.
So fun watching you, cheering you on, and excited for this new season for you. It's been an honor to know you, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get to know you a little more.
Let's make it happen. Thanks for coming. Let's go grab the Mo Club.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Warm beers, cold burgers.
What's up, Missoula? This is Nick Balla, producer of the Missoula Podcast. We truly appreciate you hanging out with us as we dive into the stories that make our city special. If you could do us a quick favor and follow the show wherever you are listening, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, maybe you're watching on YouTube, so hit that little subscribe button. It really helps us out. Head on over to www.themissoulapodcast.com for more information, and we'll see you next week.